choices. I guess I don't want to go that way then! There is content on this channel that is incredibly frustrating to make. And whereas that may be a dramatic way to start the video, unfortunately it's very much accurate. And I already know that this is going to be a long speech. I could have written a script, but I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to wing it. Because frankly, I have got a lot to say. And whereas technically what I need to say I have said before, this time round, I'm not just going to say it, I'm also going to provide proof, I'm also going to show it. And I know I'm being cryptic as to what kind of content I am referring to, but the best way I can put it is this. When I tell you the name of the game, there's going to be people who aren't interested in watching this game, which of course is fine. But why is this one title important? It's because this one title is greatly affecting several other titles on this channel. The fact is, like I said, I am going to have to recap on stuff that I've said in previous videos because this is a problem that's gone on for 2.5 years, and keep in mind I've only been making content for little under 3 years. So before I tell you more about this one title, let's quickly recap as to what's gone on with Phasmophobia, for example. For those who don't know, we recorded a couple of hours with the expectation it'll be enough to make 5 episodes, and the plan originally, after having Phasmophobia, we'd bring back 7 Days to Die, and I can't quite remember exactly, but I do know this took place over several weeks. I know that Panj cancels, then I cancels, then there was another time where we thought, well, Panj is too tired to record 7 Days to Die, but why not record more Phasmophobia? The adrenaline from that game will wake him up. So of course we recorded another 3 or 4 hours of Phasmophobia before even making the first 5. Then we tried to record more 7 Days to Die, and this time round we were able to play it, but in short, it just didn't go according to plan, and we just abandoned that recording session. But we thought, sod it, we've got a bunch of Phasmophobia footage there, why not make and release 5 episodes of that, then make and release 5 more? Again, I thought it wasn't a problem, but due to the fact that the waiting period between episode 5 and 6 worked out to be something like a month, and with that footage being fairly old, and turns out the footage that was left after episode 10, there was enough to make 5 more episodes. The waiting period between episode 10 and 11, I could be wrong, but maybe around about 3 months. We're talking these delays where sometimes they're unavoidable, granted, but the reason why these delays were so long is because of this title I am being cryptic about. And again, I do want to show you some of the issues that I've had trying to make this one game into content. Before we talk about what's on screen, I just want to quickly say there was a time where I would upload minimum of 7 videos a week, and unfortunately I had to reduce that to minimum of 5 uploads a week. Granted, I'm not talking about YouTube shorts, but this game that I'm being cryptic about, it is actually responsible for this change. And again, one last thing before we talk about what's on screen. How I've always done things is I've always had what I call a main focus, and in between the main focus is 2 titles that alternate. So for example, we'll have Fatal Frame as the main focus, and the reason why it's the main focus is knowing it's going to be a long game, get it released every other day so we can get it out the way nice and quick, or as quick as possible. And then of course in between that we have other stuff. So in between Fatal Frame we will have, say, 3 videos related to Phasmophobia, 3 videos related to Pumpkin Panic, back to Phasmophobia. You get the idea. But unfortunately, even though I am well aware that the content with friends is more popular, if I'm currently getting Phasmophobia content released, it isn't until something like 5 weeks until we have another title relative to content with friends. Again, these kind of delays are caused by this title I'm being cryptic about, because the fact is, I'm stuck in a difficult situation when it comes to that kind of content. Yes, it's what people prefer watching. Yes, it's what I prefer making. But the average video during any recording session is I do my intro, I record for 15 minutes, and I do my outro, and at which point it's practically ready to edit. But when it comes to any content that has previously on, what happens with that kind of content is we record for several hours, and I have to spend an additional day going through that footage, keeping what's worth keeping, throwing away what's not worth seeing, and then sometimes you end up with a 15-minute video that sums up the best bits of what happened over the course of, say, half an hour to an hour. So again, needing that additional day to prep that footage, do I do that, or do I put that additional day towards this title I'm being cryptic about? So basically, one is going to get delayed. I can't do both at the same time. So focusing on what's on screen right now, with the exception of the message from each of you videos and the podcast. Before I continue, the podcast, terrible quality, I'll talk more about that in a bit. But with the exception of those two playlists, what is on screen now, these four playlists, there were meant to be far more in these playlists. So basically, not only were delays caused by this certain title, but there was so much content I had planned to make for this channel that never made it to the channel. So again, when it comes to random one-offs, in fact, you know what, fuck it, I just want to quickly look something up. I think this picture pretty much speaks for itself. I did actually record myself playing this game with the intent of making content with this game. It was going to be a random one-off. And just give me a sec. You can actually see there, created. That's when I recorded that with the intent of making it, but of course I never actually made it. But it's not just that. There was another one here. And basically what it is with this one is, I don't know how long ago it was, but, oh hang on, it's fucking loaded up, okay. The point is, there was an app that a lot of people were basically obsessed with, where if you uploaded 10 images of yourself, it would create something like 100 AI pictures of yourself. And I did do a video focused around that, or should I say I recorded the footage to make the video for that, but obviously I never got it made. And if I just go to properties, when was that recorded? There you go, so that was recorded 28th of December, again 2022. So whereas I only recorded 2 random one-offs that never made it as random one-offs, I think it was at that point where I just thought there's no point recording them because, well, I need to make what I've recorded, and of course that never happened, and chances are they're just going to get scrapped. And the main reason why is if I go back to sort the courts, if I just quickly view, there we go, file type, MKV. I want you to remember that MKV, that is going to be important later on. But again, going back to these playlists, you've even got the random creativity. The last video that I made for random creativity was making this swords, and I had planned on making another video which is making a sheath for this swords. Obviously that never happens. Then of course you've got the Minecrafts. Where's my fucking book? Give me a sec. The fact is, for the Minecraft videos, there were a bunch of people who, I say a bunch of people, it was only two people made requests as to what I could build next. Again, that never happens. And again, everything that I'm saying here just never made it to the channel, again, because of this one title that I'm being cryptic about. Same goes for the animations. That animation was basically the start of this channel, and before I continue talking about the fact that it literally says animations with an S and there's only one video there, in that video we talk about playing Sea of Thieves together, but it wasn't until 2 years later that we actually played Sea of Thieves. Yet again, delays caused because of this title I'm being cryptic about. So you're getting the idea. There is a lot of content that has been greatly delayed, or it's just never made it to the channel because of this one title. And basically, there's going to be people curious, so I might as well talk about the podcast. In short, it is shite quality. If you're wanting to watch it, that's why I've left it on the channel, but it is terrible quality. And the reason why we never made more, in short, it was only me putting in the effort. The others weren't really putting much in. Granted, the likes of Kara and Panj, when they were in it, they did their fair share. And episode 9 was the turning point where I thought, right, I've had enough. Because if it wasn't bad enough that I would talk and then I would stop talking to let them talk and then I'd just get silence. So when I'm editing it, I would remove that minute of silence. Then people like my brother would listen to the podcast and then he would say to me, you need to let other people speak, not knowing I had to cut a minute of silence. The 9th episode is where I thought I've had enough, because weeks prior to recording the 9th episode, I made the decision, right, we'll talk about ghosts. Yep, that's a great idea, Steve. Okay, cool, we know what we're talking about. But then on the day, Kara said that she wanted to listen in to the conversation, but she didn't want to take part in it. Even she clicked onto this. The fact that I was like, okay, what's your opinion on ghosts? Oh, I don't believe in them. Well, thanks for that, mate. It's only taken us 3 fucking weeks to prepare for this. So that's why Kara was in that video. That's why she takes part in it, because even she realised that I was getting backache from carrying the fucking conversation. But anyways, the point that I'm getting at with showing this, there's a lot of content that I had planned to make for this channel that never made it to the channel because of this one title, not to mention several delays caused by this one title. But of course, know how I mentioned before about MKV. I want to quickly talk about that, but first I need to load something up. Right, I know I've got to crawl under there, but to say how it is, because obviously it's a lot of cutscenes and whatnot, I'm going to play a little bit more. I'm going to be playing a little bit more, but to make it easier with editing. Yes, I know, I've got infinite ammo, I don't give a shit. Yeah, still gets the fucking points. To make it a bit easier, right, when I save it, I'm going to have to do something involving editing, so yeah, give me a sec. Hang on, what the fuck is all this? I don't remember. Right, the reason why I wanted to show you this. In fact, you know what? I think it's about time that I stop being cryptic about this certain game. Because like I said, I think it's safe to say I've explained enough to show that this one title has had a huge impact on this channel and what is uploaded. And before I actually tell you what the game is, the reason why I'm wanting to give such a lengthy speech about this is because as I am giving this speech, this problem that I'm talking about in great detail, it's no longer going to be an issue. That is the reason why I need to talk about this in such detail. So, to stop being cryptic, the game that I'm talking about is Telltale's The Walking Dead. I am 100% confident that when we are done with Fatal Frame, you will finally be getting Season 4 of Telltale's The Walking Dead. But the thing is, how I used to do things, again with the content I shown before, with having minimum of 7 videos a week, the way I did things was I would make 1 video a day and upload 1 video a day. But because this is a hobby, if I was still in the mood to make content, I would put that time into other stuff, and then once I've made other stuff, I would then have a double upload. For example, the Minecraft videos, or of course, the random creativity. So with that being said, when I made the decision to start making content with Telltale's The Walking Dead, I thought, yeah, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, I'll get all 4 seasons on the channel within a couple of months. Little did I know, 2.5 fucking years. So basically, whereas I would usually put that additional time into content that required more time, all that time was being absorbed by Telltale's The Walking Dead. So I just want to make it clear, Telltale's The Walking Dead is a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. Yes, I enjoyed playing it, and believe it or not, I enjoyed making it into content in terms of editing, But when it came to finding the time to make it into content, that is what I'm moaning about. That is what I'm stressing about. That is what I'm so happy to say is no longer going to be a problem. Because the reason why I mentioned before with MKV, now this is going to sound a bit confusing, but I do kind of need to explain it. When it comes to recording something on the Xbox, the longest you can record is an hour. Now straight away we've got a problem there because Telltale videos are typically longer than an hour. And when it comes to recording it, like I said, MP4 is usually the file type, but when it comes to recording the camera, I used to record it as an MKV. Now at the time, I didn't think there was a difference. Hell, when you watch it, you're not going to notice a difference. But when it comes to the editing software that I use, I noticed something, which was if I'm editing the first 5 minutes, I will have no issue. 6 minutes to 10 minutes, things will go a bit slow, but not really a problem. Then with 11 to 15 minutes, the issues would be worse, but it's still manageable. But after the 15-minute mark, that's when the program would start to run slow. And I wish I was exaggerating with this, but let's just say there's a 3-second clip where I'm yelling. Obviously, I'm going to want to turn down my volume, which means I click play. It sounds too loud. Okay, I pause it, turn down the volume. I click play again. I'm too quiet. Okay, turn the volume back up. That process should only take me at most 30 seconds to a minute. But with these issues after the 15-minute mark, we're talking I would click play and wait 6, 7 or 8 seconds. So what should take a couple of seconds to make or sort out, whatever, would all of a sudden take 5 seconds. 5 minutes. So you can see how that's quickly becoming a problem. Editing literally 3 fucking seconds taking 5 minutes. That's obviously not good. So how do I get round this issue if after, say, the 10-minute mark, give or take, or hell, after the 5-minute mark, I'll start to face these issues? Well, the reason why I've shown you this clip is I actually used this video as a bit of a test, because what it was is I learned that if you have a 10-minute clip, then and you cut it in half, the software that you're using, it knows that it is a 10-minute clip cut in half. So even though the second clip is only 5 minutes long, it will still behave as if it was 6 to 10 minutes. Excuse me. It will still behave as if it was the 6 to 10 minutes region. But if I recorded 5 minutes, stopped recording, then recorded 5 more, the issue's gone. So that's basically what I done in this video. I done this in this video to just test to see if this would bypass this problem. And of course there's another clip I want to quickly show you. Right. There you go. Right. So you know what I mentioned before about with Resident Evil, how I would stop recording then I'd start again. This is at what? The 38-minute mark. This is one that jumped out to me that's just stayed in my mind, but one thing I do know is during season 1 I had to do that an awful lot. Like I said, I can only record for an hour on the Xbox, and if I'm editing an MKV file type, I will have issues every 5 minutes. They'd get worse. So to get round that, I would edit it like that. Now whereas we're talking that works out to be roughly 8 frames, so basically if you blink you miss it. And one thing's for sure is I wouldn't be surprised if there are people who have seen season 1, 2 and 3 and never noticed that, because whereas it does happen in season 1 quite a lot, like I said, it's basically if you blink you miss it. But that's what I did to try and get round this issue, but it doesn't end there. One sec.
Hey, you assholes in there, I got your boy. You don't want him getting shot, you best come out there careful with your hands up. Go on, you first.
Right, okay. Now, whereas I like to think that the transition from recording chunks, I suppose you could call it, whereas I like to think it was a lot smoother because obviously I learned more about editing and whatnot at this point. I don't know if this was the first time that I did this video, but you can notice that it does say 35 minutes. Basically, you know what I said before about MKV? The fact is, since I couldn't record longer than an hour on the Xbox, and I would have issues recording longer than 15 minutes if it's an MKV, I eventually learned that the issue was solely with MKV, and since the Xbox would record as an MP4, I started to record the camera as an MP4, and as a result, if I wanted to, I could record up to the full hour. But because I don't want the recording to automatically stop mid-conversation, every time there was a moment where a character was catching their breath, and if I'd been recording for say 20 minutes or half an hour, I'll be like, right, end it now, start it up again, merge it together. But the reason why I want to like throw in like these clips is I've not hidden from the fact that I can't make videos longer than 15 minutes, and the reason why is the time I have available daily to make these videos. I can only make them around about 15 minutes long. Now okay, you do have the likes of Party Animals, or you have Gang Beasts, or even Cat Mario, where they're only around about 10 minutes long, and the reason why is because more goes into them. Trying to sound balance 3 people and the gameplay, there's no other way of putting it, it takes more time to make, so that's why those videos are shorter. But majority of the content that I make, I can make them roughly 15 minutes long. Now okay, there is the odd exception, assuming there's a long cutscene in the video, you get the idea. But the thing is, these aren't 15-minute videos, are they? They are, I think the Season 1 I think was an average of, say, 2 hours. Season 2, an average of, again, 2 hours. But Season 3, I think, was an average of 1 hour. So that's probably why I was able to make and release Season 3 after maybe about a month and a half after Season 2. But again, this game is the reason why I had to reduce uploads from minimum of 7 a week to minimum of 5 a week, because trying to maintain daily uploads and finding time to work on this game, it just proved to be impossible for me. I basically burnt myself out. One sec. What's the matter? Hey? You just wanted to be social, did you? The reason why this is important is because I can't make videos longer than 15 minutes, and with these being well over 15 minutes, I'm not lying when I say I could easily make quadruple the amount of contents within the time it takes me to make just one season of Telltales. And I did kind of address this after releasing Season 1. I basically said in my own words how, again, I could easily make several videos within the same time frame, and I think that would be better. And keep in mind, at that time, it was quite often that I would have double uploads, uploading the in-between episodes. They would typically be a double uploads. These Message From Me to You videos, these would also be like, part of a double upload. The Minecraft videos as well, they would be part of a double uploads. So I would quite frequently release like double uploads. And again, since this is a hobby, when I had finished working on whatever content for the day, if I was still in the mood to make more, that's when I would work on the other stuff and then eventually have a double uploads. But with working on Telltales, obviously I had to choose between Telltales or that. But as time progressed, there was content coming to the channel that required more time, such as Five Nights at Freddy's. For those who haven't seen it, I believe the 6th episode, 9 hours of recording footage went into that alone. So, and again, with 7 Days to Die, before I transitioned from Xbox version to the PC, to record more for that, there's no other way of putting it, there was a growing list of contents that required more time, and I had the choice. Either focus on Telltales or focus on this content that required more time. So I made it clear I wanted to focus on that kind of content. But people at the time wanted to see more Telltales. So I was like, okay, fair enough then. If people want to see Telltales, I'll focus on that. So of course, with focusing on that, Again, need to show something else. Right, so whereas you've got on screen, you've got Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 and you've got Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 2. Now in between, you've got Distrust, you've got Adios Amigos, you've got Resident Evil 2, hell, even Half Deads. We're talking the majority of these playlists that you can see on screen now, I could easily record for 15 minutes and be like, yep, that's an episode ready to edit. Like even Megaton Rainfall, Glee, Stranger's Wrath. We're talking these were videos that I could make and release within 24 hours, meaning that if I did have free time, I could put that towards working on Telltale's content. In other words, whereas I've already addressed that this one game has caused delays, it has also caused certain content to not make it to the channel. It also affected the type of content that made it to the channel, because as I mentioned earlier, there was an animation where there was an animation talking to my friends. Mentioned in that animation was the game Sea of Thieves, and saying how it is, if we scroll right the way down, we're talking the animation was the first upload. Then of course you've got all of these playlists, all of these uploads. Wait for it, where the fuck are you? And there we go, there's Sea of Thieves. So we're talking, there are several videos that were uploaded before part 1 of Sea of Thieves was uploaded, and yet that was something planned from the very beginning. You even got one of the random one-offs. If you just give me a sec. Here we go. You've got the second random one-off that was uploaded, which is testing sound quality with friends. And this was before using Facecam. So saying how it is, with that animation mentioning playing games with friends, with doing very early on a video where we were testing sound quality. Now of course it's there if you just want to watch it, but the fact is the quality really isn't the best. After that, we eventually managed to figure out how to record Humans Fall Flat with myself and Cara, and the best way I can put it is this. As I mentioned before, with Phasmophobia and games like that, that is the favoured content on this channel. Yous prefer watching it, I prefer making it. The best way I can put it is, back before Telltales, I was slowly trying to get into content with friends, figuring out how to actually do it, because using the testing sound quality with friends video as an example, we recorded all our audio as one audio track, and very quickly I learned that makes terrible content. So ever since Random fucking cat here. Ever since Humans Fall Flat, I learned if I record my audio and Cara's and whoever else's separately, then I can make better quality contents. And of course, there are times where, say for example with Phasmophobia, where Pange is yelling, because let's face it, there's a lot of screams in that playthrough. If Pange is yelling, and obviously I'm going to have to turn down the volume, but I'm only talking, that means I'll have to turn up the volume if it's one audio track. But with it being separate, then whatever volume Pange is talking, it does not affect my volume. And whereas I am going in a very, very long-winded way of wording it, the point is, I know that the favoured content on this channel requires more time to make, which is why I actually wanted to focus on that kind of content before working on Telltales. I was slowly building up to acquiring the skill to do that, but then because I started working on Season 1, that took up the majority of my free time outside of working on the typical daily uploads. And how do I word it? After Season 3, I basically said, right, we're having a break. We're having a break from Telltales. And what I have done since then is, like I said, when it comes to content that says previously on, it requires an additional day to prep that footage. And whereas content with friends, if it's Phasmophobia, and let's just say if I'm going to be releasing some Escape the Backrooms after that, you're basically waiting 5 weeks for it. But the way I do it is I would record it with Panj, assuming we're free to record, and then I would spend the day prepping it, then I would make it. But then there were times where instead of spending the day prepping footage, I would work on other contents and get a day ahead of schedule. And I would slowly do this, and then eventually I would get time to work on Telltales. That was my plan, because I knew that I needed a lot of time for it. So how about I just focus on the daily upload, get ahead of schedule, and then I'll have the time to work on it. That was basically the long and short of it. But the problem with doing it like this, it meant again several delays. And again, using Phasmophobia as an example, I remember when I recorded episode 15.5, knowing that it would take me, keep in mind it was like 4 hours of footage summed up in about 40 odd minutes. I knew after prepping it, so not including the day to prep it, I assumed it would take minimum of 4 days to edit. Meaning, do I use 4 days that I have built up for Telltales, or do I spend the next 4 weeks, like on the Sundays, putting that time towards Phasmophobia episode 15.5? That was the choice that I made. But here's the thing, right? Whereas I'm saying all this is assuming I actually have the time, because of course there were other things going on outside of YouTube. And one good example is a family friend. They bought themselves, like they're fairly old, and they bought themselves a smartphone. They've never had a smartphone before. So I literally had to make a tutorial for them to teach them the basics. So obviously that was important. I couldn't edit content while I was working on that. And that's just one of many things that was stopping me from being able to make content. Even something as simple as spending Christmas with family. We're talking I can't work on content if I'm celebrating Christmas. So with this very long-winded speech, the point that I'm getting at is Telltales has required so much time. I had the expectation it would only be a couple of months, but with it being 2.5 years, I can now confidently say after Fatal Frame, you will be getting season 4 of Telltales. But the reason why I need to explain in such great detail is with explaining that this one title has prevented me from working on certain content or even uploading other content. We're talking there's a lot of content that's been delayed because of this. There's a lot of content that has never been made into content. Well, there's a lot of videos, footage, whatever, I've never had the time to make into content. The best way I can put it is this. Now that Telltale's Season 4, I can confidently say, is going to be uploaded after Fatal Frame, we're talking I can now use that time for all this other stuff. And what I am hoping, again, using Fatal Frame and that as an example, let's just say Fatal Frame, Phasmophobia, and Escape the Backrooms. Again, having that table up on screen, whereas I would have, say, Fatal Frame, let's face it, not that popular, and I'll get to that in a minute. Then of course you got Phasmophobia. That is popular, but unfortunately there's a bit of a wait. And then of course the other game, let's just say it was, I don't know, the game Distrust, whereas that's out in full. The game Distrust, that was an unpopular playthrough. But so basically what I'm getting at is, over the course of say 5 weeks, there's only really one title that people are really interested in, whereas all three is something I'm wanting to make content with. There's only one that people are interested in. Now that I don't have to stress about Telltales, that means both of those titles that alternate in between the main focus, assuming me and Panj have the time to record it, we could have Phasmophobia uploaded alongside Escape the Backrooms. So if you know Escape the Backrooms is coming out after Phasmophobia, that's like I said, 5 weeks waiting. Now all of a sudden it's reduced to a couple of weeks. And then let's just say, I don't know, if there's another game, I can't even think of an example, but if there's another game that comes up, here we go, Sea of Thieves. If we have, say, Sea of Thieves planned after Escape the Backrooms, because obviously Phasmophobia, and of course with Escape the Backrooms, you'd have to wait 10 weeks for that. Now all of a sudden you only have to wait 5. So you can see how just not working on Telltales is greatly reducing the waiting period for a lot of contents. But again, with doing things like this, because of the way I do things and I'm not stressing, what's the word for it? There's no doubt in my mind that because this is a hobby, because I do this for fun, because I'm going to still get ahead of schedule, not intentionally, I don't need to get ahead of schedule, I'm done with Telltales. But because I do this as a hobby, there's no doubt in my mind I will get ahead of schedule every so often, meaning I can then put that time into other content that requires more time, meaning stuff like the random one-offs, we could get more of them. In fact, before I give my one last final speech on this topic, I do need to point something else out. Now, whereas I will be blaring out the majority of what's here, basically I don't want to spoil what I've got planned. But you can see there Minecraft 6. Now, to save explaining what those numbers are, let's just go straight to properties. There we go. You can see when it was created. Now, here's the thing, I have checked, and that one right there, that file got corrupted, so a bit of an oops moment there. This was during the time when I was recording at MKV, which is why it's broken up into multiple chunks. But with those Minecraft videos that I mentioned, I obviously recorded the 6th one, but I never got round to actually, making it into content. And chances are, saying how it is, it's shit. The build is god awful. So chances are I'm not going to make it into content. But because I'm showing this off, I might as well load up this and actually show you, well, the build. Because if I'm not going to make it into content, I might as well still show it. Right, so what was the... Hang on. Yeah, the request was a warship. So again, it is shite. Even I'll admit that. Fucking hell, it's worse than I remember. But the reason why I wanted to show you is because part of the request was making it so that it would fire, it would fire TNT. It would actually shoot things, and I think, yeah, you can actually see, there, you can actually see that it does fire projectiles. But I think it does fire TNT as well. And the video just ends. Cool. There we go. There we go. So, whereas it's not my best work, but I did manage to get it to, basically there was I suppose you could call it a bridge, but the command center, if you want to call it that, it did fire the projectiles, whether it was just like fireballs or it fired the TNT. So whereas I technically did what was requested, as I've stated, because of Telltales, I never got round to actually make it into content. But then of course you've got this one right here. Here's the thing. In fact, actually, do you know what? I'm going to assume Editing Stage just blared it out, because am I going to be able to just find the thumbnails? There you go. There's another one. Saying how it is, after working on season 1, I had this idea. Why not try and record several hours of Mortal Shell, trim it down. Basically, if you've seen 7 Days to Die, episode 11 onwards, if you've seen anything that I've played with Pange, whether it's Phasmophobia, Escape the Backrooms, Sea of Thieves even, we're talking the idea of recording several hours and then trimming it down. The idea that I got from that, I first tested it with this game. And to give you an idea as to when this was meant to be uploaded, basically, before I actually show you, basically with this, I planned on making the full playthrough. So I even went ahead with the expectation that there would be minimum of 10 parts. I planned on making this, and as I was scheduling it, I would put that time towards working on season 2. Obviously that never happens, but where the fuck... Hang on. This gives you an idea.
You're right there, mate.
Back when we had the blue fucking intro. So just let that play out. I know people don't like it, but I fucking love it, so let's just let it play out.
Hello and welcome back to V-Void. I'm Steve and this is Mortal Shell. Right, okay, gonna have a long intro for this one.
So you can actually see it was a full video. It was a full video, but of course I never uploaded it, and I think I actually made 2. One sec. I did. I made 2. Oh, you're right there, mate. Right, the thing is, actually, you know, I'll just pause that. Pause it. Pause it. Pause it. Right. The idea was, like I said, to make it in full, schedule it, and the days where I don't need to make a video because this was going to get uploaded, I would work on Telltales. And whereas there are going to be people who are like, well, you made 2, why not just upload them? You cannot tell me if you watched this and you liked it, you would not get upset for the fact that I only ever made 2. And that was the reason why I never uploaded it, because I don't like starting a playthrough and not finishing it, especially if it does have an ending. Soulstorm is a good example. When I first started playing that game, I loved it. But then, maybe around about episode 15, it started to get frustrating, and if I'm being brutally honest with yous, with what happened on episode 20, if that happened and I wasn't making it into content, I would have uninstalled the game then and there. But I did finish it. And not to mention, I think it's a clip from maybe episode 36 is a YouTube short that has got the most likes, the most views, and most people have subscribed from YouTube shorts because of that clip. So saying it how it is, if you are interested in that playthrough, I would recommend the compilations more than anything, because as egotistic as it sounds, there are good moments in that playthrough. It's just... I'm not lying when I say I don't like that game because it has ruined a series for me, but I digress. The point is, if I've started something, I want to finish it. And because I started this, I knew I couldn't finish it, so I didn't want to upload it. And not to mention as well, if we just quickly... There's a certain point I want to show you. There's a certain point in one of these videos that I want to show you. Well, straight away, there's something that would be a problem. Like, obviously, I've learned don't have too long of an intro. The fact is, on the first video, we don't even load into the game for the first minute and 40 odd seconds because I've got so much to talk about. That's something else. Whenever I have text on screen, so I'll just quickly fade out that for a sec. If I've got text on screen, I used to just have it like so, where basically it's barely visible, especially if you've got a background that's quite bright. And then during the time of making this content, I would have a thin black outline just to make it stand out a bit more. And do you know what? I just want to quickly throw something in. You see this background? You know when I have this, or even the coloured bars? I've been wanting to remake them for a while, but again, I haven't because of Telltales. Anyway, back to this. Nowadays, I have it faded so it's more visible. So again, that's another reason why I can't upload it now, because the style of editing is outdated. And there should be one last thing.
Come on, you 2. Well, 3 rather. Ow. Wrong button, goddammit. This is not a fucking good start. What was I saying before? Oh yeah, I'm good at this game. Okay. Right. In fact...
Right, notice the quality there. The fact is, like I said before, the quality that I edit, basically this is outdated. It's another reason why I never got around to uploading it. And something you might have noticed even when I was showing off the Telltales content. Notice how there's nothing on the door there, but in that face cam there is. Somehow, I didn't even know this was a thing. I mean, I'm no expert on how sound travels and whatnot, but just having clothes on the back of that door would muffle the sound of my voice. So obviously now my voice is a lot more clearer. Someone's at the fucking door. No one was there. I've lost my train of thought now. So basically, when it comes to this game, it goes without saying that it's outdated. I know there are going to be people who want to see this video, want to see both of them, but it wouldn't feel right. It didn't feel right to upload them back then, knowing that I wouldn't make part 3. It wouldn't feel right to upload them now, knowing that I can't really work on part 3 as of yet, and when I do work on it, it's going to be vastly different. And with my style of editing greatly changing, the best that I can do with this game is, if I was to make content with it, is if I started again, where the sound quality for the audio would be far better, the editing would be far better, but I go through those old videos and I take parts that are worth seeing. I basically show the highlights of those videos and throw them into the newer version of that playthrough. That's basically the next best thing, assuming people wanted me to do that. Because whereas I have explained in such great detail about this, in short, Telltales Season 4 is defo going to get released after Fatal Frame, but trying to make all 4 seasons into content for this channel, it has caused several delays and prevented certain content from being made or even released. It has greatly shifted the direction of the channel basically the direction I wanted the channel to take. It greatly shifted it away from that. And the reason why I need to go back to the beginning and even talk about that animation, like I said, I am well aware the most favoured content on this channel is what I make with friends. That was meant to get released far sooner. We're talking, was around about 2 years in before I started to do that more frequently. And I was planning on doing that as early as starting, but that again didn't happen because of fucking Telltales. So, what can we expect now? The fact that I don't need to push myself, I don't need to get ahead of schedule, but this is a hobby, so I will get ahead of schedule every so often. I can put that time into other content. We're talking the content you prefer, like basically content with friends. I will be able to release that more frequently because I've got the time to work on it now. And again, with getting ahead of schedule, I might put that time into random one-offs. So we might get more random one-offs. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen literally days after you watching this video, but I am expecting it to happen as soon as we're done with Fatal Frame. Because again, that's when Season 4 is going to get released. And you know what, fuck, I might as well tell you. I am hoping to have more Phasmophobia, so episodes 16 through to 20 getting released alongside Season 4 of Telltales, as well as Lethal Company episodes 6 through to 10, because why the fuck not? So, there is one last thing that I need to cover before wrapping up this video, and I really hope that Editing Steve's done a good job on this because I've been talking for an hour and a half. Now, of course, there's no doubt in my mind, people are going to have questions. Now, I have given this a lot of thought, and there are a bunch of questions that I am quite confident are going to be fairly common, which I will cover in a minute. But of course, if I don't cover a question that you have and you want to ask me, go right ahead, ask away in the comment section, and I'll reply to you as soon as I can. But going over the questions that play in my head which are most likely to be asked. The first one being, now that I'm done with Telltales, will I make other content like Telltales? The fact is, I don't want to say no, but at the same time, I'm having a hard time saying yes. If this entire video is proof of that, I think you know why I'm having a hard time saying yes. But the fact is, if I was asked, are you going to play this Telltales game? The best way I can answer it is, at this moment in time, I don't know. Because the fact is, I'm not lying when I say I enjoyed playing it, and for the most part I did enjoy editing it. The issue was finding the time to edit it. So I suppose you could word it like, I have learned, with doing content for nearly 3 years, I have learned there is certain types of games that doesn't really work well with my content, with my style of editing rather. A good example is Fatal Frame. I will admit, if I knew Fatal Frame was so slow, I wouldn't have started playing it for the channel. But those who have seen it can vouch for me when I say that there are times that I have either sped up or just outright skipped because, in my opinion, it's unnecessarily drawn out. And I know there's a lot of people who do like to watch playthroughs in full, and those people will notice when the full playthrough is out that basically I do this more and more and more. Like episode 2 is a good example, where literally 30 seconds of fuck all happening. Why is that there? Fuck knows. So of course, me being me, I make a joke, speed it up, and the entire clip goes on for like what, maybe 5 seconds. Tell you what though, this game really loves its silent cutscenes.
I've been waiting for her to tell me if she could help me find someone. I still haven't got a reply from her.
With how slow this game is, you're probably going to be waiting even longer. But then there are several cutscenes where nothing happens for about 40 seconds and then the characters start talking. So I thought, fuck it, I'm cutting the beginning of that cutscene. Then the same happens at the end of the cutscene. Again, fuck it, I'm cutting it. So the best way I can put it is where the average cutscene basically can be summed up in about 2 minutes. So why let it drag on for 5? So anyways, I'm getting distracted. So again, when it comes to making other Telltale's content, the best way I can put it is I don't want to say no, I'm just having a hard time saying yes because of, well, this video pretty much explains it. So another question people might have. Now that I am done with Telltales, and because I've made it very clear, reducing uploads from minimum of 7 a week to now only 5 a week, now that I'm not working on Telltales, people are going to wonder, am I going to start uploading 7 videos a week minimum again? The fact is, I'm going to have to say no on that, and the reason why is using Blasphemous episode 6 through to 10 as a prime example. That recording session took me 5 hours and actually put me behind schedule. Content that I made during that time of uploading that frequently, if contents took longer to record, Grab by the Ghoulies is another good example. If it took longer to record because I would edit a video the same days I would record, I was quicker to frustration and it would affect the content in a bad way. So the fact that I reduced the uploads, the silver lining to having to do that is on Saturdays is when I typically do my recordings, and if it takes all day, then so be it. It's why I was able to do the likes of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Like, I don't know how many hours went into that, but I know a lot of time went to just episode 2 alone. But anyways, moving on to other questions. Will I upload the likes of that Minecraft video? Will I upload the likes of Mortal Shell? Or will I upload those random one-offs? Now, because for me, hopefully Editancy has trimmed this down, but I've been talking for like, what, an hour and 40 odd minutes. So, chances are I have mentioned this beforehand, but just to quickly cover it. The contents that I wanted to make, but I never made into content because of Telltales, I will not be uploading that simply because it is outdated. The style of editing or the quality of the face cam and the voice and whatnot, it's outdated, so if I was to upload it, I'd have to re-record it. Now, as far as I'm aware, I think that's pretty much summed up the majority of questions I can think of at the top of my head. But yeah. Oh, that's right, there's one last question. There are going to be people being like, well, if you're so confident that season 4 of Telltales is coming to the channel, why not upload it now? Here's the thing. I could give you the excuse of, well, I've started Fatal Frame, I want to finish it. And that is partly true, but the main reason is, in a nutshell, turning a video into a YouTube video takes certain steps. I've still got to sort that out, and one issue is copyrights. I am hoping that there isn't any copyright issues. In fact, I don't want to spoil it, but on episode 2, there is a certain, based on a certain choice, is it episode 2? No, it's episode 3. A certain choice somewhere in the story can impact a certain scene on episode 3. And I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, even though the game has been out for a while. But you either have a person singing or a person playing the piano. You can't have both. So just as a quick teaser, I'm only going to play the audio so you don't know what choice that I made. YouTube, don't you dare copyright strike me for this.
This is for you, Minnie.
Never mind the darkness. Never mind the storm. Never mind the blood-red moon. The night will be over soon.
So this video doesn't go on any longer than it needs to. I don't want to play it in full, but basically, as you've just heard, as I was editing it, I did sync up both scenes because why not? Make the video a bit more unique. So again, got to sort out copyright and whatnot. One thing I am glad is that clip in particular I know isn't copyright, but I've got to be careful because I know this happened with Glee 2, and it was either part 2 or part 3 of Bloodwash, where my own fucking voice got flagged for copyright. So it is a bit of an issue when it comes to making this content. So basically, needing to take these steps to turn it into a video, well, from a video into a YouTube video. So instead of stressing about it, and the fact that literally, 5 or 6 weeks I've been non-stop. In fact, I'll tell you when I started working on Telltales. One sec. Right, just quickly showing you this. As you can see, 27th of March, that's when this post was uploaded. Now again, I really don't want this video to go on too long, so I'm going to have to, yeah, there's just too much to fucking read. But if you are curious, feel free to read it. But to summarise, I was basically saying how, you know, only in about a month maybe things will get back to normal. I believe it was the Saturday prior to that post being released. That's when I recorded episode 1 of Telltales The Walking Dead season 4. And it's only now that I can say with confidence that it is coming to the channel. So all this time I've been solely working on Telltales. That is why. You can see why I am finding it hard to say yes if people say, are you going to make other Telltales content? But yeah, the point is that I'm getting at is I spent all these weeks working on that one game. I want a break. So whereas I do have content that I can release for the next week, for this next week, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm having a fucking break because also I need a bit of a, how would you word it? I'd need kind of like a refresher, like transition. Basically, I'm so used to just working on that one title. I need to get back into the mindset of working on one video a day and uploading one video a day with the expectation of this happening. I can afford to just not work on content for the next week or so. So again, I do need a bit of a break. But anyways, I've been talking for long enough. To summarise, Season 4 of Telltales The Walking Dead is defo coming to the channel after Fatal Frame. As well as that, the content that you prefer to watch, that I prefer to make, which happens to be with friends, will be getting uploaded more frequently after Fatal Frame, I reckon. It'll be alongside Telltales, I reckon. And with that being said, because I don't have to stress about getting ahead of schedule, but if I do get ahead of schedule, I can put that time into other content. I might even revisit like titles that I want to make as random one-offs. The best way I can put it is, now that I don't have to stress about making Telltales The Walking Dead into content, I can put that time into other content. And like I said earlier this video, I can easily make quadruple the amount of content within the same time. So since I'm only uploading so many videos a week, I don't have to stress. Things are going to be a lot easier for me. And I know that people are like, well, why do you do this? Because I'm a stubborn fuck. I am incredibly stubborn. I said it was coming to the channel, and it does. When I say something is coming to the channel, I mean it. We're talking in this book are all the requests that were made. We're talking hang on a minute. Outlast, yeah, I remember when that was requested back on Resident Evil 2 Part 9. Hang on a minute. Did I not update this? Telltale's The Walking Dead requested on Evil Within compilation 21-25. Fucking Christ, it was that long ago. 7 Days to Die, that was a request. Remember that. Stardew Valley. Yeah, so basically all the requests that are made, I do write them down. So even though it's been a very, very long time, look at it this way. If I say something's coming to the channel, it will come to the channel. And with Telltale's being a prime example, it took me 2.5 fucking years, but I got it done. I got it done, and now that I have got it done, I can have a bit of a breather, and then once I've had a breather, I can then start focusing on the content. You prefer watching, and I prefer making. And I don't know how many times I've fucking said that. I'm going to shut the fuck up, talking too long. Hopefully this video has been informative, and if you have got any more questions, feel free to ask. I really don't mind. Right, I can shut up now and start editing. So yeah, hopefully this video has been informative, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Like and subscribe.